Hello everybody, today I am going to discuss about callable statement. Callable statement interface is used to call the stored procedures and functions. And this callable statement is an interface given in the java.sql package, and it is extended from the prepared statement interface. And the difference between prepared statement and callable statement is that in case of prepared statement, we cannot use it to call the procedures and functions of the database. But in case of callable statement, we can call both procedures and functions, and also we can execute the SQL commands on the database. For callable statement, we have two syntaxes, one for executing the SQL command and the other for calling the procedure or function of the database. And we have a business logic on the database by the use of stored procedures and functions that will make the performance better because these are pre-compiled. Suppose you need to get the age of an employee based on the date of birth, then you may create a function that receives date as the input and returns age of the employee as output. So this is about callable statement. And next is the transaction management. What is a transaction management in JDBC? A transaction is a group of operations made as a unit and produces a single outcome called either success or failure. A transaction becomes success if all the operations of the transaction are success, and a transaction becomes failed if at least one operation is also failed in that group. So, in a group of operations within a transaction, if one operation is failed, then all the operations in the group are cancelled and the transaction becomes failed. This transaction represents even if one operation is failed in transaction, then all the operations in the transaction in that group are failed. Transaction represents a single unit of work. And the ACID properties that is describes the transaction management. ACID stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Atomicity means either all successful or none. Consistency ensures bringing the database from one consistent state to another consistent state. And isolation ensures that transaction is isolated from other transaction. And durability means once a transaction has been committed, it will remain so even in the event of errors, power loss, etc. Now, what is the advantage of transaction management? Fast performance. It makes the performance fast because database is hit at the time of commit. And next one is the that is each transaction follows the principle called all or nothing. And these transactions are of two types: local transaction and distributed transaction. Local transaction means all the operations in the transactions are executing against a single database. Distribution transaction means the operations in a transaction are executing against multiple databases. And JDBC technology supports the local transactions, whereas EJB and technology and Spring Framework both support the local and distributed transactions. And next one is the batch processing. So, what do you mean by batch processing? When executing the operations, that is DML operations. What do you mean by DML operations? Data manipulation operations on database from a JDBC program, then the commands are one by one transferred from the Java program to the database and executed. This increases the number of round trips between the Java program and the database so that the performance will be decreased. So, in order to overcome the above problem in JDBC, we got a new feature called batch processing. In batch processing, the group of DML operations are at a time transferred onto the database and executed, so that the number of round trips between the Java application and the database are reduced. and the performance also gets increased. In batch processing, only insert, update, and delete operations are allowed. And in order to perform the batch processing, the statement interface provides two methods. It is a void add batch of SQL command and int array of execute batch. And in batch processing, if one command is failed in the middle, the previous commands are not cancelled. Whereas, what is the difference between batch processing and transaction management? In batch processing, if one command is failed in the middle, the previous commands are not cancelled. Whereas in transaction management, even if one command fails, then all the other commands are also failed. That is, while executing the batch, if any error occurred in the middle, then before operations are executed and after operations are cancelled, and an exception is thrown called batch update exception to the programmer. And in batch processing, no need to pass type and more parameters. Batch processing can be combined with transaction management. That is, batch processing. In batch processing, instead of executing single query, we can execute batch or group of queries so that it makes the performance fast. And this java.sql.statement and java.sql.prepared statement interfaces provides methods for batch processing. So what is the advantage of batch processing? Fast performance. And next is the row set. Now what do you mean by row set? The instance of the row set is the Java bean component because it has properties and Java bean notification mechanism. It is introduced since JDK 5. And it is the wrapper of result set. It holds tabular data like result set, but it is easy and flexible to use. So what are the implementation classes present in the row set interface? We have JDBC row set, KH2 row set, web row set, join row set, and filtered row set. So before this, we need to understand some points here. In JDBC 1 and 2.0, it is possible to work with one result set at a time. Whereas in JDBC 3.0, we got new feature that we can get multiple result sets also. And the multiple result sets may be of scrollable or non-scrollable type. So this is about result set. And what is a row set interface? Row set is an interface extended from the result set interface. And this row set interface is given in Java X.SQL package. And this row set interface has all the benefits of result set and it has some additional features. So we'll see now what are the differences between result set interface and row set interface. A result set object is not a serialized object. That is, we cannot transfer it across the network from one application to another application. Whereas row set is a serialized object so that we can transfer it across network from one application to another. And second difference is by default result set is non-scrollable, but we can convert it into scrollable. Whereas the row set is by default scrollable, so no need to convert. And third difference is result set performance is slow, whereas row set performance is fast. And result set works only in the connected approach, whereas row set works in both connected and disconnected approach also. And if any changes made in the result set interface, it affects or approaches in the database table also. It affects the database table also. Whereas if any modifications made in the row set, it may or may not affect the database table. And in disconnected mode, the database is not affected even if the changes are done in the row set. And result set does not support event handling, whereas row set supports event handling. And result set interface is given in java.sql package, whereas row set interface is given in java x.sql package. And result set interface is given by Sun and classes or implementation given by vendor, whereas row set interface and implementations are given by Sun. So this is about the row set interface. We'll see some examples here. So first we'll see this transaction management. What is transaction management? First import java.sql.star public class transaction management. Always control starts from the main method. First register the driver class, that is class.furname. This is the driver of MySQL. Then create a connection object, connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection, and pass three parameters, URL, comma username, comma password. Then con dot set auto commit to false. Then create an object for statement. Statement stmt equal to con dot create statement. Then statement dot execute update. So what is transaction management? That is multiple operations can be performed. That is, first operation is insert into user 420 values 190 comma away comma 40,000. This is the ID, this is the name, and 40,000 is the salary. And again statement dot execute update, insert into user 420 values 191 comma Umesh comma 50,000 is the salary. Then con dot commit, con dot close. So before running this program, you need to check whether there is a table of whether you created a table for user 420 or not. So go to MySQL and create a table for here. This is the table. Create table user 420 ID int 11 of primary key, name is varchar of 50 and salary is 86. So I had created the table. Now how do you insert values using transaction management? So when I run this program, so what will be the output here? So you check whether the values are inserted or not. How do you check? You run the query in MySQL here. Select star from user 420. Okay, this table is already existing. So I'll use another table 421. I created the table. Then go here and change the table name here. Save this program and run this program again. After running this program, go and check here whether change the table name here 21 and check whether the values are inserted or not. I think some problem is there here. Yeah, see the values are inserted here. So the transaction management has worked here. This is about transaction management. Next is the batch processing. What is batch processing here? First import java.sql.start. Public class batch processing. Always control starts from the main method. First register for the driver class.forName. This is the MySQL driver. Then establish a connection object. Connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection. Pass three parameters, that is URL, comma username, comma password. Then con dot set auto commit to false. Then create a statement object. Statement stmp equal to con dot create statement. Then statement dot add batch. Insert into user 420 values. Here I'm using one more table here, 422. Insert the values. The ID is 190, name is Abhi, and 40,000 is salary. ID is 191, Anish is the name, and 50,000 is the salary. In statement dot execute batch. So what happens here? Before inserting, you create the table for this. Create the table 422. Then run this program. First run this program. Then okay. After running this program, go to MySQL. Then run this query. So these values are inserted. This is about batch process. Next is the callable statement. Now, what is callable statement? See here, first import Java dot in callable statement. You need to execute two things here. You need to call a procedure and also you need to execute a query. So first you need to create a procedure first. How do you create a procedure? Create procedure exp4 in eid is the integer, out exp is the integer, exp is the experience. Then begin. Select the state minus higher date by 365 as experience from employee where e number equal to eid. Before that, first you create a table for the employee. Create table employee e number integer 11 primary key and higher date. So what is employee table consists of? Your employee table consists of id and the higher date. Higher date is your joining date. And what I am doing here, I am finding the experience of the particular employee. How do you find the experience of the particular employee? Sysdate is the current date. So subtract your higher date from the sysdate and divide by 365. You get the experience of a particular employee. So this is how you create a procedure. You can call the procedure here. Call of exp4 2. 2 is the ID and this is the output. In the place of output, you should write at the rate here and run the procedure. After running the procedure, go back to Eclipse and first register for the driver using class.forName of MySQL driver name. Create a connection object, connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection, pass three parameters URL, comma username, comma password. Then create a object for callable statement. Callable statement CSTMT equal to con dot prepare call. Here you call the procedure first. Here you call the procedure. What is the procedure name is exp4. Procedure is exp4. So what I am doing here, scanner is equal to new scanner of system.in. What does this scanner do? Scanner will accept or read the input from the user. Then system.out.println enter the employee number. It is asking for the employee number. Then int e number equal to s dot next int. it will store in a number. Then cstmt dot set int of first parameter as a number, cstmt dot register out parameter second comma types dot integer, then cstmt dot execute. Then int k equal to cstmt dot get int. The second parameter is the experience. And so your experience is printed here. Experience is k. So this is the program for callable statement. Now what is a row set? Row set is nothing but public class. First you need to import java.sql connection in public class row set. Control starts from the main method. First register for driver class, that is class.filename. Use the MySQL driver here. Then create and executing row set. That is first create an object for JDBC row set. Row set is equal to row set provider dot new factory dot create JDBC row set. Then row set dot set URL. This is the URL of the MySQL, and set username JDBC, password is JDBC. Then row set dot set command. Which command I am passing here? Select start from user 420. Then row set dot execute. Then by row set dot next, that is this table name is having any records. Check for the condition. If the table name is having any records, then if it has the records, then print those records. ID, name, and salary. So if I run this program, so your ID, name, and salary will be printed here. So I'll stop here. I'll continue in the next class.